Come on back with this video. Yeah, we're gonna get it out the way now. I don't generally like putting off stuff. Sometimes I want to put it off so I can do other things, but right now it needs to. We're gonna bring it. We're gonna bring this out because it's important. This is gonna be very important. This is gonna be very important. Everything that comes out of the word is going to be important. But this is going to be of the utmost importance because we're going to understand that even through the many differences right now, there is truth that's being revealed on so many different levels right now. And it seems as though we are fighting against each other with the truths that we know. But in actuality, it's really not a fight in the eyes of the Most High. It's really prophetic. This is how knowledge is being increased. Everybody is being increased in knowledge, and it seems like it's a war going on with the knowledge. But the thing that you got to understand is that what that's going to do is that's causing the next generation that's coming up to be exposed with a much more abundance of knowledge. And it's going to increase with every generation. So it looked like we fighting against each other with this, that, the other. But all of these things that we tossing out here is knowledge that have been hidden from us at one point or another. And now we've been exposed to so many different levels of knowledge. Those children that's coming up behind us now, this knowledge will be automatic. It'll be automatically. They won't even have to search for it because it's already being revealed. And so that's what we want to keep on bringing balance. Even sometimes, where it may look like a fight. I tore a centipede. It may look like a fight. Israelite, Hebrew Israelite brother may look like a fight. Our Christian brothers may look like a fight. You know what I mean? Our Islamic brothers, it may look like a fight. Everybody tossing truth. Everybody tossing truth. But most of the cases, people are tossing truth that we had not previously been exposed to. And that we're excited about the truth that we knowing. But when we're looking at the generations that's coming up behind us, they are being exposed to all of these different levels of truth. And as they grow up into the adults, their mind will have already been exposed to all of these different levels of truth. And then what comes behind them is going to be exposing to even greater and greater levels of truth. And I'm going to show you why that's prophetic. We don't always understand what the Most High is doing because we look at things through the eyes of mortal men. We have a finite understanding, so we don't always understand. When we start looking at the scripts and the scrolls, that's what we're aiming to do, to show you these things that's happening. So, peace and blessings on all of you once again. Let's take off running. I'd like to believe that the Most High is doing something great, and not just my understanding. That's coming according to the many different things that we've been experiencing in this life is putting our focus on things that are of the utmost importance while we living. We may not have time to get out all of the things that we need to say, all of the things that we need to teach our people, but we have to maximize every moment to do so. So as we stated, we're going to take off running with Lection 44. And we know how the Spirit operates. As we bring forth things, if it be the Spirit's will, He gonna lead us into different places where we'll put precepts on here to bring a fullness of understanding. But there are some things in here that I really want to expose some of the brothers and sisters to. Verse 1 of Lection 44, coming out of the Gospel of the Holy 12. When we start talking about the gospel of the Holy 12, you're talking about the gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach that he had given to his appointed 12 disciples and those that will now begin to follow him. Those people that are recorded in the book of Josephus amongst the three sects or the four sects that were in the world at that time. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, and then the Zealots. And so this is a particular class of people that's being dealt with and being groomed for a specific reason. So it says, again, Yeshua sat near the sea in a circle of 12 palm trees, where he often resorted, and the 12 and their fellows came unto him, and they sat under the shade of the trees. And the Holy One taught them, sitting in their midst. And Yeshua said unto them, Ye have heard what men in the world say concerning me, but who do you say that I am? Peter rose up with Andrew his brother and said, Thou art the Messiah, the Son of the living God, who descended from heaven and dwelleth in the hearts of them who believe and obey unto righteousness. And the rest rose up and said, each after his own manner, These words are true, so we believe. And Yeshua answered them, saying, Blessed are ye, my 12, who believe, because flesh and blood have not revealed this unto you, but the Spirit of God which dwelleth in you. I indeed am the way and the truth and the life, and the truth understand all things. All truth is in the Most High, and I bear witness unto the truth. I am the true rock, and on this rock do I build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. And out of this rock shall flow rivers of living water, to give life to all the people of the earth. You are my chosen 12. In me, the head and cornerstone, are the 12 foundations of my house built on the rock. And on you, in me, shall my church be built. And in truth and righteousness shall my church be established. In truth and righteousness shall my church be established. You see, this ain't got nothing to do with no building in no geographical location on no corner. This has everything to do with truth and righteousness. It's the established church in this world. Any brother, any sister that's living their life according to truth and righteousness, that becomes the foundation that the church itself is built upon. Not no religious institution. It says, and you shall sit on 12 thrones and send forth light and truth into all the 12 tribes of Israel after the Spirit. And I will be with you until the end of the world. That was the purpose of the disciples. First thing, that they would bring truth and raise up the tribes of Israel. But listen at this, because this is what we're dealing with now. But there shall arise after you, my 12 disciples, men of perverse minds, who through ignorance or through craft suppress many things which I have spoken unto you. And they shall lay to my charge many things which I never taught, sowing tares among the good wheat, which I have given you to sow in the world, not amongst Israel, in the world. He said, now after your death, after you 12 chosen was filled with the Spirit, after you, he said, men gonna rise of perverse minds who through ignorance, because they don't know what they think they know, or through craft, somebody on a mission to thwart whatever it is that the Father wants us to learn. He said, these people, they will suppress many things that I have spoken. Like one of the things that have been suppressed in this hour that the Messiah spoken is when he tells them, do not behold, do not constantly be looking at the sins or the motes in your brother's life or in your brother's eye, but focus on the plank or the log or the major sins in your own life. He said that's one of the things that I have spoken, that many people have suppressed. They have suppressed that, and to suppress that is to take the personal accountability away from every individual man, that personal accountability that he himself has to the Most High. You see, that when you suppress that, you remove your personal accountability by looking at what other people are doing. See, this is one way that we start talking about the simplistic thing that the Messiah said. He said, they shall suppress many things that I told you. I told you don't be called by all these different titles. Don't be putting yourself one over the other. Don't be calling yourself no pastor, bishop, and all of these things. He said, I told you. He said, but after you, disciples, you know better. You didn't do it. He said, but after you, those things I taught you, they're going to be suppressed. He said, and then men of perverse minds, they're going to teach things and say that I said it. They're going to teach things in my name that I didn't teach. He said they're going to teach things in my name that I didn't teach. You see? And he said through this, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be sowing tares amongst the good wheat that was given to us to sow into the world. That righteousness had to continuously be sown into the world. But have you ever sought out to do what was right, and then somebody came along, oh man, get out of here, oh man, that ain't. Every time you're trying to do good, as soon as you got somebody's attention and somebody's listening to you, they'll bring up, oh man, that ain't no, man, that stuff ain't no, you know what I mean? See, they are sowing tares amongst the good wheat that we were supposed to be sowing into the world. These are the things that had transpired. Many things that concerning faith and spirituality have been suppressed to hang on to superficial things that don't matter. I mean, how can you choose a garment and fringes over the pure motives and intents of the heart? How could you choose? How could you choose a feast day or a so-called high holy day, which is external, over something that you're being convicted about in your spirit where your brother is concerned? How could you choose a superficial thing to conduct yourself by when your spirit is telling you that you have a brother that you out of fellowship with, that you have angered somebody, that you have wronged somebody, that you can't go back and say, I'm sorry, you can't forgive nobody, but you can put your stock into these meaningless things, you know what I'm saying? Going to the hip-hop festival, going to the hip-hop or the Hebrew hip-hop concert, and being on stage, and going to the feast days and going to the Passover and all these things, and you know that you got unresolved issues with your brother. See, you ain't focusing. And those spiritual principles that the Messiah said, he said, this is what the disciples was teaching. He said, but after you, those spiritual things are going to be suppressed, and men going to put their focus on superficial things that do not change the life. He said they're going to use those things to sow tares amongst the wheat. So you'll have everybody out here talking about keeping the Sabbath. If you ain't keeping the Sabbath, then God, but you'll suppress the fact that the Messiah said that the Sabbath was created for man. Man was not created for the Sabbath. So the Sabbath day can never become a governing force in the life of a man where his righteousness is concerned. The Sabbath was created for a man so that he can have a day of rest to ease his mind and replenish his soul and replenish his spirit. It was not created as something that man had to just live up to, as though he... See, many things that were taught from a spiritual standpoint would be suppressed by superficial things because men have a desire to look good in the eyes of other men. And though we can have our fringes and we can wear our mitres and we can participate in all of these fleshly, all of these superficial things, when our heart ain't right. You see, anger can hide. It's a sin of the spirit. Unforgiveness can hide. It's a sin of the spirit. Bitterness is a sin of the spirit. Larceny is a sin of the spirit. Jealousy and envy is sins of the spirit. They can cloak themselves and hide. How can you be so concerned with what the external is? He said many things that I taught are going to be suppressed. And they're going to teach things that I didn't teach. And they're going to teach it and put my name on it. You ain't serving Jesus if you ain't keeping the commandment. Well, you got to understand what commandment that Jesus was telling you to keep. Love thy neighbor as thyself. How many times shall I forgive my brother when he sinned against me? 7? No, 70 times 7. How you gonna say you got to keep the commandments of Jesus, but you can't forgive a person one time? And Jesus told you, no matter how many times your brother sinned, if he can ever keep coming back asking for forgiveness, you have an unlimited supply of forgiveness. He said many things that I taught are going to be suppressed. And many things people are going to teach that I didn't tell them to teach. He said, but there shall rise after you men of perverse minds, who shall through ignorance or through craft suppress many things which I have spoken unto you. And they shall lay things to my charge which I never taught, sowing tares among the good wheat which I have given you to sow into the world. Then shall the truth of God endure the contradiction of sinners. See, it don't make no difference what anybody do. The truth of the Most High is going to endure the contradiction of those people that seek to sow tares among the good wheat. The truth of the Most High, when it comes to spirituality, will endure. It will endure and persevere and eventually come to conquer all of those superficial things that are pertaining to things that we do in the flesh. While we seek to look good and impress people with what we doing. The preacher can come to the pulpit and have his robe on and have his Bible in his hand and be corrupt as he want in his heart. And nobody can see the corruption. But we suppress those spiritual things in order to hold on. And these be the things that causes us to sow tares among the wheat, because we put people's focus in the wrong place. When people's focus should not be on the outward appearance, but it should be rather on the inner. The hidden man of the heart is where our focus is supposed to be. But the Messiah said that after you, men of perverse minds will arise in the earth, and they're going to suppress many things that I taught. And they're going to teach many things. And they're going to say, I taught it, but I didn't teach it. Remember what he said in Matthew 24th chapter. In the last days, false prophets shall arise. Many shall come in my name, saying, Lord, Lord, be careful. Don't let no man deceive you. You see, how do a man deceive you? A man deceives you with external, superficial things. And they say, well, God said it. But the Spirit operates in the heart of a man. And when he's saying, don't let no man deceive you, he said, you look to that thing that's on the inside of you. Because that, no matter what a thing look like on the outside, it's what it is. So he said, but the truth gonna endure. The truth of God gonna endure the contradictions of sinners. For thus, it says, for thus it had been written, and thus it will be. But the time comes when the things that they have hidden shall be revealed and made known, and the truth shall make those free who were once bound. One is your master, and you are all brothers, and one is not greater than another in the place that I have given unto you. For ye all have one master, even the Messiah, who is over you and within you. And there is no inequality among my 12, or their fellows that follow them. All of them are equally close to me. Therefore, strive not for first place, for you all are first, because ye are the foundational stones and pillars of the church, which is built on the truth, which is in me and in you. And the truth and the law shall ye establish for everyone, as it shall be given unto you. Verily, when you and your fellows agree together touching anything in my name, I am in the midst of you and with you. Woe is the time when the spirit of the world entereth into the church, and my doctrines and precepts are made void through the corruption of men and women. Woe is the world when the light is hidden. Woe is the world when these things shall be. At that time, Yeshua Jesus lifted up his voice and said, I thank thee, O most high, righteous parent, creator of heaven and earth, that through these things are hidden from the wise and the prudent. They are nevertheless revealed unto babes. So he said, I thank the Most High that though these things are hidden from the wise and the prudent, they're revealed unto the babies. No one knoweth thee except the Son. Come unto me, all that labor and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. So the point I wanted to make right here was dealing with the fact that after the 12 apostles is when everything seemed to have went haywire. But he said, it prophesied that, he said, after you, men of perverse minds shall rise up. We know that many of the perverse minds came out of Gentilic territory or out of Roman Catholicism. Many perverse minds came, risen up, and they would suppress many things that he had taught. So you don't find things that the Messiah taught contained in the Pauline epistles. What you find is the Pauline epistles, most of his Pauline epistles is focused on law and superficial things. He said, but many things going to be suppressed. There are going to be men that rise up, and most people don't want to understand or don't believe that there are two gospels in the book, and there are two sets of apostles in the book. And he said, this is another set of apostles that will rise up, and they will suppress many of the things that I taught the 12. I mean, they will have no choice because I didn't teach them, you see. He said, and they would suppress those things that I taught. So you look in the Pauline epistles, you'll see that where it was declared, whosoever come amongst you preaching any gospel other than what we preach, let them be accursed. He said, even if it's an angel from heaven, if he preaching anything different than what we preaching, let them be accursed. He said, men of perverse minds, some through ignorance and then others through craft, others through systematic crafty schemes, trying to Simon the sorcerer their way into dominance over people. He said they're going to teach many things, and we have been up under that. We have seen many things taught, and we believe that it was God that taught them. He said, but many was going to teach things, and they was going to lay that to my charge as though I said it. But I didn't say it. He was there all day Friday night. All night Friday night. All day Saturday. All night Sunday. All night Saturday night, but early Sunday morning. You see, I've been exposed to many of these things, have spoke many of these things, have taught many of these things, just because men taught them. And then they accredit it to the Messiah's account. But when you put it up against what the Messiah said, you understand that in order for you to be a preacher and you preaching that the Messiah died on Friday and then rose on Sunday, you have to understand in order to do that, then the truth about what he said has to be suppressed. I tell you the truth, there shall be no sign except the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 whole days and 3 whole nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. You see, in order for you to do one thing over here, something has to be suppressed over there. But even though many things have been suppressed, he said, but the truth shall endure the contradiction of sinners. Because you come into a place of being a sinner anytime you neglect the truth. John 3:34 saying, he who God has sent speaketh the words of God, for God give not the spirit unto that man by measure. John 8:47 says, he who is of God hears the word of God. There is a balance. But now, if God didn't send a man, then you can best believe it ain't God's word going forth. But God's word, his name will be put on something that he didn't say. He said right here, because of men and women, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. It says, then shall the truth of God endure the contradiction of sinners, for thus hath it been, and thus will it be. But the time cometh when the things which they have hidden shall be revealed and made known, and the truth shall make those free who were bound. One is your master, you are all brethren, one is not greater than the other, in the place which I have given you. For ye have one master, even Christ, who is over you and with you and in you, and there is no inequality among my 12 or their fellows. All are equal unto me. Strive not therefore for first place, for ye are all first, because ye are the foundational stones and the pillars of the churches which are in me. He said, so it says, verily, when you and your fellows agree together, touching anything in my name, I am in the midst of with you. He said, but woe in the time when the spirit of the world enter into the church, and my doctrine and my precepts are made void through the corruption of men and women. And here's another thing that gets suppressed. Matthew chapter 15. Then came the Pharisees and the scribes to the Messiah and said, your disciples, they transgress the traditions of the elders. They don't wash their hands when they eat. Well, the Messiah said, well, why do you transgress the commandments of the Most High? He said, you have made my Father's commandment in vain by your tradition. This is what it means when men and women corrupt the things that the Most High have declared. And so what he does is capture off in the 8th and 9th verse of the 15th chapter. He said, this is the people that draw near to me with their mouths, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, because they have taught for a commandment the doctrine of men. And those doctrines of men have caused the commandments of the Most High to be void. And that is a level of corruption. That is the essence of what it means to suppress many things that he taught, and then lay to his charge many things that he didn't teach. See, most of the things that we are dealing with from the physical sense are traditions of our ancient ancestors. Don't you understand that the robes are traditions? That they were foreshadowed. Beard them to make fringes on the borders of your garment. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Or put them on your fingers. Wear the commandments about your neck as a chain, that they may keep you, and wisdom may guide. See, these were foreshadowing of the thing. These were things that they did in the flesh to remind themselves of what was important, but it was a foreshadowing of the spiritual thing that would come, because the Spirit would now remind us of everything that was pertaining to the Father's righteousness. But now you still have men suppressing the fact that the Spirit, that the fringes on the borders of your garments represented the spiritual things that the Spirit would remind you of when it comes to the Father's will. Now, the thing is that we'll suppress the spirituality of it, and then we'll put emphasis on the physical or the superficial part of it, and then it's a level and it's a form of corruption. So you know, so there are some things that we're going to have to deal with. Yeah. Let's go look at another one. Lection 46. This is the transfiguration on the mount. and the giving of the law. Verse 1, after 6 days, when the feast of the tabernacle was near at hand, Yeshua takes the 12 and brings them up into the high mountains and set them apart. And as he was praying, the fashion of his countenance was changed, and he was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was as white as light. And behold, there appeared unto them, Moses and Elijah, talking with him, and spake of the law, and of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. Talking about his death. And Moses spake, saying, this is he of whom I foretold, saying, a prophet from the midst of thy brethren, like unto me, shall the Eternal send unto you, and that which the Eternal speak unto him shall he speak unto you, and unto him you shall listen, and whosoever will not obey shall bring upon themselves their own destruction. There it is again. There it is again. Precept upon precept. We read it in the Bible. We read it in the Nazarene Acts. Now we read it again in the Gospel of the Holy 12. And it couples right there with the precept of the sermon, the transfiguration on the mount was Moses and Elijah. But here he got the disciples with him. So we go into greater detail. He said, and Moses began to speak. Well, who was Moses speaking to? Moses was speaking to his appointed men that was with him. Let's look at it again. It says, and behold, there appeared unto them. Who was the them? Here's the them right here. Here's the them right here. After 6 days, when the Feast of Tabernacle was at hand, Yeshua took the 12 and brought them into a high mountain apart. As he was praying, and fashion of his countenance was changed. So he got his 12 there. And now it says, and then behold, there appeared unto them. Unto who? There appeared unto his 12, Moses and Elijah, talking with him. And he spake of the law, and of his decease, his death, which should be accomplished at Jerusalem. And Moses spake, saying, okay, you 12, this is the one that I foretold, saying, a prophet from the midst of thy brethren, like unto myself, shall the Most High raise up unto you. Him you shall hear like me. Whoever don't hear him, his soul shall be cut off from his people. Then Peter said unto Yeshua, Lord, it's good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. And while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and 12 rays from the sun issued from behind the cloud. And a voice came out of the cloud, which said, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. And when the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces, and they were so afraid. They were sore amazed. And Yeshua came and touched them and said, arise, do not be afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man except Yeshua only. And the 6 glories were seen upon him. And Yeshua said unto them, behold, a new law I give you, which is not new, but old, even as Moses gave the 10 commandments to Israel after the flesh, so also I give unto you the 12 for the kingdom of Israel after the Spirit. For who are the Israel of God? even they of every nation and tribe who work righteousness, love mercy, and keep my commandments. These are the true Israel of God. And standing up upon his feet, Yeshua spake and saying, Hear, O Israel, Jehovah thy God is one. Many are my seers. It says, Behold, the Lord thy God is one, and many are my seers and my prophets. In me all live and move and have subsistence. You shall not take away the life of any creature for your pleasure, nor for your profit, nor yet torment it. You shall not steal the goods of any, nor gather lands and riches unto yourselves beyond your need or use. You shall not eat the flesh or drink the blood of any slaughtered creature, nor yet anything which bringeth disorder to your health or senses. You shall not make impure marriages where love and health are not, nor yet corrupt yourselves or any creature made pure by the holy. You shall not bear false witness against any, nor willfully deceive any by a lie to hurt them. You shall not do unto others as you would not that others do unto you. You should worship one eternal, the Father, Mother in heaven, of whom are all things, and reverence thy holy name. You shall revere your fathers and your mothers on earth, whose care is for you, and all of the teachers of righteousness. You shall cherish and protect the weak, and those who are oppressed, and all creatures that suffer wrong. You shall work with your hands the things that are good and seemly. So shall you eat the fruits of the earth and live long in the land. You shall purify yourselves daily and rest the seventh day from your labor, keeping holy Sabbaths and feast festivals of your God. You shall do unto others as you would have others to do unto you. And when the disciples heard these words, they smote upon their breasts, saying, Wherein have we offended? O God, forgive us. And may thy wisdom, love, and truth within us incline our hearts to love and keep his holy law. And Yeshua said unto them, My yoke is equal, and my burden is light. If you will bear it, to you it will be easy. Lay no other burden on those that enter into the kingdom, but only these necessary things. Only these necessary things. Only these necessary. See, these things, there's a key word in here. It is a key word in here. It is key, and I got to find it. Okay, listen. The question was asked in verse 7. The Messiah said, Behold, I give a new law unto you, which is not a new law, but an old one, even as Moses gave the 10 commandments to Israel after the flesh. So I also give unto the 12 for the kingdom of Israel after the Spirit. You see, those 10 commandments were pertaining to fleshly things. Thou shalt not kill the flesh. Thou shalt not steal from the flesh. Thou shalt not bear false witness against the flesh. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother in the flesh. The Messiah, those were laws that came after the flesh. The Messiah said, I'm not giving you no new laws. These laws are the old original laws that Moses gave you, but they were only pertaining to the flesh. He said, but the laws that I'm giving you, not only do they pertain to the flesh, but they're superseding flesh, and now they pertain to the spirit. And so those things that he is dealing with are dealing with the things that are in the spirit. So let me read this and let me ask you this question, because it's a question that's asked. And here's the question. Here's the question. But the Messiah asked the question, who are the Israel of God? Basically what he said, who is the true Israel of the Most High? And he get the disciples to understand, because during the disciples' day, they had the Torah, they had the Pharisees, they had the scribes, they had the priests, and he's on the scene and he asks, who is the true Israel of the Most High? That's a question. He said, even they of every nation and tribe who work righteousness. What do we mean, who work righteousness? Can righteousness come by superficial laws that have the ability to cloak the things that are in the heart and hide the things that are in the heart? He said, oh, no. Let me show you who true Israel is. He said, true Israel is every tribe and every nation who work righteousness. What is this righteousness? They love mercy. Because the love of mercy is something that's born out of the spirit that is pertaining to what somebody might have done in the flesh. He said, and they keep my commandments. These are the true Israel of God. But how are you going to know whether you're the true Israel of God if you don't know the things that the second half of Moses commanded you? We know we got Moses' commandments, but Moses' commandments could only go so far. That's why they was killing animals. They was killing animals because you were trying to make the flesh justifiable without dealing with the heart and with the spirit. You see? Now, listen at what he said. And listen at the first commandment. He said, hear, O Israel, Jehovah thy God is one. Many are my seers and my prophets, and in me all live and move and have their subsistence. Commandment 1. You shall not take away the life of any creature for pleasure. You should not take away the life of any creature to go and fish and hunt for sport. You should not take away the life of any creature for your profit. That's the slaughterhouses, slaughtering and taking away from the life of the creatures so that they can make profit as they put these animals in the grocery store and sell them to people that are eating them. He said, nor yet shall you torment any creature. That means that animal cruelty, you are not to do nothing. This is, he said, if you keep my commandment, I'm going to show you who the true Israel of God is. It's going to be those that keep my commandment, because I'm the one that Moses spoke about that was to come. You shall not steal goods of any, nor gather lands and riches to yourselves beyond your need for use. You see the spirituality? See, can't nobody tell you what you're doing because you can hide that. But when you start talking about you shall not gather any lands and heap up all of these things for yourself, when you got what you need to survive, nobody can tell you when you got an abundance. But that's that spirit. That's that part, that laws that's coming pertaining to the spirit of man that causes a man to receive conviction. You know that the Most High has taken care. You know that you got an abundance. You know you got so much more that you can do for your brothers and sisters, but you don't do it. You hoard everything to yourself. He said, this is a commandment. He who keeps my commandment will be true Israel, not just the ones that don't steal from his brother in the flesh, but the one that don't steal from his brother in the spirit. spirit from the standpoint the Most High have given you an abundance, and it wasn't meant for you to just be greedy and hoard everything that he have done for you. He said when he give you everything that he needs for your life to be sustained, that all of those things that are in abundance are supposed to be used in ways that upbuild and bring your brothers and sisters. You see, the spirit. And brothers can't comprehend the spirit because they are too busy dealing with the flesh. But it don't make no difference whether they comprehend it or not. We're dealing with who the true Israel of God is. And when you really start looking at the Bible, you can know that the true Israel of God were not our ancient ancestors, because if they were, they would never been in the condition that they were in. They went into 6 captivities all the way until this day. And even though they still trying to mimic the things that our ancestors did in the flesh, their spirit is still not right. So let's get those commandments. These commandments dealing with the spirit. You say, you should not steal the goods of anybody. That's the commandment. Thou shalt not steal in the flesh. But look what he added to it. Nor shall you gather lands and riches to yourselves beyond what you have need of. That's the law after the spirit. You shall not eat the flesh, nor drink the blood of any slaughtered creature. Now, this what he came to abolish. Moses said, I noticed it was an evil vice that had gripped the children of Israel. I couldn't get it out, so I'll save it for a time in the future that one's coming just like me. He will abolish it. He will cut off the law of sacrifice, the law of animal sacrifice. So here you see, you should not eat the blood or eat the flesh nor drink the blood of any slaughtered creature. But he added more to it. You know why? Because he came to abolish the law of sacrifice that told a man you could slay an animal and that could go in repentance for your sins. But that can't change a man's heart. I don't care how many animals you slaughter. Ain't now one of them can change your heart. He extended it. He said, not only shall you eat the flesh and the blood of any slaughtered creature, nor yet anything which brings disorder to your health or your senses. You see that? Because that's now you're dealing with the spirit. Now you're dealing with the things that can hide in a man. You see, you're dealing with the things that can hide in. You're talking about things that can bring bad health upon you. You're talking about not only shall you not eat the flesh and blood. See, it ain't enough just to tell people that they can't eat the flesh and blood. But you can't do nothing that brings harm on you. If you start fornicating, the STD can bring harm upon you. Just like us, I'm struggling right now trying to quit smoking these cigarettes I've been smoking for so many years. He said, it ain't enough to quit eating flesh and blood, but I'm going past that. Now that you know you don't sacrifice no animal, you don't do nothing that bring harm to your body. Now you got over to eating the flesh. Now you got to deal with how you going to get rid of this cigarette, how you going to stop drinking this alcohol, how you going to stop fornicating, how you going to stop doing all these things, how you going to stop allowing your mind to be corrupted with pornography and all these things, anything that'll bring harm to your health and to your senses. Anything, your senses, everything is connected to my senses. My eye, my smell, my taste, my touch. When things start controlling my mind, I got to be on guard for everything, not just flesh and blood. See, when I get flesh and blood out the way, that was the physical thing. But now that leaves place for the spirit to come in and start convicting my heart. Hey, look at this, boy. You know this ain't right neither. You know this ain't right there. Hey, you can't be harping on your brother about what he eating when you over here smoking something. You know this causes lung cancer. You know this causes liver disease. You know this cause cirrhosis. You know this can cause something else. He said, not only do you not eat the flesh and drink the blood, but don't you put anything in your body that will cause you to be sick later on down. See, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. These are laws of the spirit. These laws of the flesh have to be coupled with the laws of the spirit in order to understand the full totality of the Most High's purpose. It can't get done no other way, baby. Can't get done no other way. And all of us are in the same boat. All of us are in the same boat because every man got something. Every man got something. Every man got demons and imps assigned to his life to pose as a distraction, to cause him to experience temptation. Every man got hurdles in his way that he got to climb over. Every man got stumbling blocks and roadblocks. There is no room for nobody looking at anybody. He said, we got to keep these commandments. Teach men to observe whatsoever things I have commanded you. But the problem is that we are totally oblivious because those things that the Messiah had commanded us had been suppressed by perverse men. Some through ignorance, others through craft, have suppressed his commandments to the point to where we ain't never knew them. We ain't never knew them. We ain't never knew them. You shall not make impure marriages where love and health are not, nor yet corrupt yourselves, or any creature made pure by the holy. You shall not make impure marriages. That means that the Spirit, only the Spirit can convict you about your motive and your reason for doing something. Oh, he got money. Oh, I can do it. Oh, she got money. Oh, she got this. Oh, she got that. Oh, she got some freaky ways. Oh, I can. Thou should not make impure marriages. See, the Spirit will deal with you. You can do it on the external. Go through the ceremony. Hire the preacher. You can do all that. Go through the Hebrew issue. But down on the inside, there's another level. That's fleshly, but there's another level to the Spirit that every man had to give an account to the Most High. You got to understand, you can't make impure marriages. You can't marry somebody that the Most High told you don't marry. You can't go and marry nobody simply because they got something that you think you can benefit. He said, thou shalt not make impure marriages where love and health are not at. You see, most people that get married don't get married because they love each other. And the reason why is because we've already been corrupted through fornication with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people before we ever. So love is not at the root of it. He said, thou shalt not make marriages where love and health are not. Do you not know that it's an abominable thing for a man who know, or a woman who know that they have a dire health condition, and then they go and marry somebody that nothing is wrong with, and now this is an impure marriage because you done hooked yourself up with somebody and you know that you are sick, and now you're about to start extracting from a life that wasn't nothing wrong with because you failed to be honest about where you was at. See, that's the Spirit, baby. That's the Spirit. We got to deal with this stuff, baby. The Spirit will tell you, boy. The Spirit will tell you. You know you already had the dang on herpes. You know you already had the herpes. And you went and found this wonderful woman. And it could hide. And it didn't bother nobody. But you didn't want to lose it. You thought that you would lose it if you blew it out. But you went and got married anyway. And you knew it didn't have health or love was at the root of it. Because if you really loved the person, then we wouldn't do what we did. Hey, baby, we got to be able to confess. Hey, Lord, I'm guilty. When the disciples heard these things, they had the Torah, they had the prophets, they had the priests. He said they smote and beat up on their breasts and said, oh Lord, have mercy, for we have sinned against you. Please help us with these things. I know what I'm talking about. When God shows us these things, baby, the Spirit is speaking to the man who is receiving it. When I receive these things, it ain't nobody there but me and the Spirit. I had to be the first one to identify with it so that I can repent. And if it blesses me, I'll come back and bless my brothers. Moses gave the 10 commandments after the flesh. The Messiah would give the commandments to the disciples concerning the kingdom after the Spirit. And those fleshly things will have to be convicted by the Spirit in order to be overcame. That's where we all at. That's where we all at. You should not bear false witness against anybody. That's the commandment pertaining to the flesh. Nor willfully deceive any by a lie to hurt them. See, bearing false witness on somebody, that's a fleshly thing. It can be seen by many people. It can be classified as being two-faced. And people can see that and people can talk about that. But when he say, nor willfully deceive. Deceive is a word that's dealing with the motive and the intent of the heart that comes by way of the spirit. He said, not only should you bear false witness in the flesh, speaking fleshly against no. He said, but you best be on your guard, because you can be lying in your spirit even when can't nobody tell you lying. You can be telling a lie in your spirit and cause hurt to come up on somebody. He said, you see the balance? You see the balance? Can you see the balance? If you can see the balance in what's being said, put a 7 on the screen. Let me know that you hear what's being said. You shall revere your fathers and your mothers on earth. That's the commandment after the flesh. Honor thy father and thy mother. But look at the commandment that's coming after the spirit. Who is my father and my mother except those that are teaching the will of God, teaching the word of God? Who is my mother and my father except those that are walking in the righteousness of God? He said, thou shalt revere thy father and thy mother on earth, whose care is for you. That's honor for your parents in this life after the flesh. But not only shall you revere your fathers and your mothers according to the commandment that God gave Moses, which is after the flesh. He says, and also thou shalt revere all the teachers of righteousness. See, don't you stop with your mother and your father. Because everybody don't have mothers and fathers. Everybody don't have earthly parents. You see, but somebody had to become an instructor to those that don't have earthly parents, and they are to be revered as well. That's according to the spirit, because only the spirit of a man understands the people that are having an impact on their life. Only the people that have a spirit. See, the spirit will make you understand what people are important in your life. Commandment, you shall cherish and protect the weak. When did I see you hungry and gave you food? When did I see you naked and clothed you? When did I see you thirsty and gave you drink? Inasmuch as you had done it to the least of these, my brother, you have done it unto me also. He said, you shall cherish and protect the weak and those who are oppressed and all the creatures that suffer wrong. I ain't even got to go through all of them in order for you to get the point. You want to understand what commandments the Messiah was speaking about when he said, go ye into all the world and teach men to observe whatsoever things I have commanded you. You go and read the 46th chapter of lections in the gospel of the Holy 12, and you can find out. And people try to make it as though, oh, it is coming from another book. Oh, this is a different book. Well, show me anywhere where anything that I've said have gone against the Holy Scripture. Show me anywhere where anything that had been spoken was classified as idolatry. Show me anywhere where the law that Moses had commanded anybody have taken a back seat. It have not taken a back seat, but it has been extended. It has been extended to transcend just the flesh into the spirit. You can't stop with keeping the feast day. You can't stop with a holy garment. You can't stop with just understanding the words. It don't stop right there. It don't stop. Once you got your holy garment on, I would that thou would prosper, even as thy soul prosper. I know the thoughts that I think towards you, plans to prosper you in the flesh, even as you prosper in the spirit. That is the purpose of the Most High. It don't stop right there. It's not enough just for you to look like you're a Hebrew Israelite, sound like you're a Hebrew Israelite. It ain't enough for you to look like you're a Christian, sound like you're a Christian. It ain't enough for you to look like a Torah sinner, man. Look like you keeping Torah. You got to have a couple with a spirit. You can't just be saying, I'm keeping the Torah, but you ain't got no fellowship with your brother. You ain't got time to hear nobody. You want everybody to listen to you, but you don't want to listen to nothing that nobody else got to say. You want everybody to have an open mind, but you want to have a closed mind when it comes to you. You see, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. So, I'm going to end the video right there because I don't want to disturb my sweetie's rest. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. Peace and blessings be upon all of you.